Greetings, everyone. It's time for our weekly gathering. I'm Dr. Talika McCoy, and I'm delighted to have you here on this evening. Please remember that we gather on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch our gatherings on Facebook. I go live on Facebook. You can also catch our gatherings on YouTube. All right? We have a conference call line, and I don't know if I usually give that conference call number. Let me see if I can. I don't want to hang up on the conference call line, so I won't give you the number right now because I don't want to hang up. And I don't know how. Oh, I found it. Okay. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube and you ever want to join via conference call line, the number is 717-908-1636. And the code is 977-613, and then you press pound. So I tried to post that information as well because some people may want to join on the conference call line. We've certainly had that longer than we've been live. So I appreciate those who have been with me since 2011, even on that conference call line, and welcome to you and to those who are tuning in virtually. And if you're tuning in later, that's okay too. Just glad that you're here. On this evening, I want to really focus on Free to Explore in 2024. So it's a new year. I hope you are excited about it. Just want to consider exploration in this year. All right. So that's the theme. Last year, the theme was 2023. God is leading me. I don't know if you remember that, but that was the theme, for our gathering. And so I did the talk throughout the year where I talked about different things to really connect us with the leadership of God, because I talked about how many times in a new year, people say, this is going to be my year. And so I wanted us to consider, rather than trying to take on a year belonging to us, just remember that every year has belonged to God before you even got here, before I even got here. And every year will belong to God even when we're gone. So 2023 was not our year, just as 2024 is not our year. So last year, the theme was 2023, God is leading me. So it was God's year, and this is still another year that God is creating, because every day is a day that the Lord makes. We never make a year. So then when thinking about this being 2024, the theme is Free to Explore in 2024. So I want us to think about exploration and really considering that some of us live lives that's a series of going through the same motions. Maybe we take the same route home every day. We eat the same foods. We watch the same shows, and sometimes those motions don't really provide much enjoyment, and we don't even realize it because we just do the same thing all the time. But then there are other times, when it's just what we want for our lives, right? Maybe what you call routine, or what you call being a creature of habit, is working for you, right? So it's okay. So understand that some of what I'm going to talk about this evening is going to be uncomfortable for some people, because discovery is not something that you're interested in. Some of you have chosen that because of your age, you just crawled into the hole of, I'm settled. I'm set in my ways, and this is the way I'm going to be. So you've crawled into that hole because of your age. So then what I'm going to talk about is going to be uncomfortable for you. Some of you, maybe age is not the culprit in your life, maybe ability. You've already told yourself that you can't really be more than what you are. It's a new year, but you're going to really be the same. There's no hope for you doing anything different. So what I talk about this evening is going to be uncomfortable for you. Some of you may be uncomfortable because it's easier to discover other people right, than to really put yourself in a space of reflective moments, or really evaluating who you are. It's easier, for example, to go on social media or to look at television or listen to podcasts and focus on other people, and then you don't really have to think about yourself. But on this evening, I'm going to talk about things that really come down your alley, down your road, down your street, and maybe even step on your toes, to the point where you may feel uncomfortable, because I don't care how old you are. I have hope in the fact that there's still life in you. As long as you're breathing, old school doesn't have to be the only school of thought. Okay. So self-discovery really is what I want to talk about. So when I'm talking about free to explore in 2024, I'm talking about self-discovery and how it can be fulfilling and also disappointing. So it may not feel good, but you deserve it. All right. You owe it to yourself. And so if you've reached a point in life where you found yourself asking, who am I really? You may not ask it out loud because you're supposed to have it all together, right? But you may say, who am I really? Maybe this is the year where you're going to raise that question, or you've raised it before and you've not done anything about it. Who am I really? Or maybe you said, what have I been doing? What have I been doing? Maybe you said by now I should be, further along, in whatever. So you say, what have I been doing? Or you may say, what is it that I need to do? Or what should I be doing? These are questions. And, sometimes it's easier to ask those questions about other people. It doesn't make any sense that they hadn't done this yet. Or it doesn't make any sense, But what about saying that to yourself? Maybe this will be the year where you will be honest enough with yourself to say, self-discovery needs to happen because it can help me get to know myself a little better. Some people, for example, are wanting new romantic relationships. You want to get to know some man or some woman, and you hadn't given yourself that same respect to know you. So self-discovery is important. It may seem like a huge concept as I'm talking about it, but it's really just a process, okay? So if we're free to explore in 2024 and we're talking about self-discovery, then it's a process of really examining your life. Examining your life, not putting yourself down, but being honest with yourself and examining your life. It's about figuring out what's missing in your life. And right now, I'm not talking about like a person, okay? So I can go there, but I don't really want to go there. When I say what's missing, I'm talking about things that are in your power. Like you can't control someone loving you or wanting to be in a relationship with you or anything like that, or, them hiring you or something like that. People make those kind of decisions outwardly, but I'm talking about inwardly, like thinking about figuring out what's missing and what's in your power to really fill life gaps. What are the gaps in your life? Taking steps toward filling life gaps, things that you do have control over, okay? So there's no better time really for self-exploration than like the beginning of a year. And since it rhymes, we may as well say free to explore in 2024. So right now, I want to just discuss about 4 tips, okay? And I'm sharing this because I am a person who absolutely does not have it all together. I'm a person who does not have it all together. And I've been able to like put those pieces of not having it together. And so in putting all of those fragments of my life together, I've been able to create like a puzzle that works for me. Now, some of those pieces still have to be filled in, but because I'm a person who doesn't have it all together, I'm okay with those pieces still having to be filled in, but I at least need to think about those pieces and say that they exist and they can help to complete the puzzle that is called me and my life, okay? So because I'm a person who doesn't have it all together, I can talk about this. Yes, and I can give you 4 tips because I can talk about it. Why? Because I am in the process of self-discovery. So the first tip that I would give to us as we have entered into a new year is, who do I see myself as? That's the first tip. Think about who you see yourself as. Like, what's your ideal self? When we're kids, we do that because we'll say like, when I grow up, I'm going to be a firefighter. When I grow up, I'm going to be a teacher. When I grow up, I'm going to be a doctor. When I grow up, I'm going to be a veterinarian. Remember those days? Yeah. So this tip is not anything new, right? I told you I can talk about it. I can talk about it because I've been a child before. And I said, when I grow up, this is my ideal self, Okay, so in some of our lives, some of those things came together, like those fragments I talked about. But in some of our lives, that hasn't come together quite yet. So the tip that I have for you is to spend time discovering really your ideal self. It hasn't happened yet, but I can still see it. Don't give up on that little boy, you. Don't give up on that little girl, you. You owe it to her. You owe it to him to go ahead and work this thing out, okay? We spend so much time discovering other people that we give up on ourselves. We're not a kid anymore, so oh well, that's gone. Now I'm old. We just give up. Don't give up on that little boy or that little girl. Go back and look at pictures of yourself, okay? Go back and look at pictures of yourself and talk to that picture and say, I am going to become what I told you I was going to be. See that? Instead of going on social media, for example, or listening to gossip or whatever, like right now, the hottest thing now, as I was getting on here, is something about comedian Cat Williams. I hadn't seen all that it's about, but apparently he said some things about some other comedians, okay, in some interview. So people are making quite an emotional investment in what Cat Williams and other comedians are doing. It seems like we make emotional investments in what people are saying and how people are living their lives. I've seen this T.D. Jakes stuff and some William Murphy or something with the church or something like that. If you spend, and some of you don't do this, but if you spend as much time looking at that, the most trending thing, and maybe it's not about something on social media, but it's something on your job and people are talking about that. If you could make as much of an emotional investment in that little boy or that little girl that you were as you do a Cat Williams or whatever else people are sharing. I know they're sharing it because I saw it on social media. If you would share your dreams and visions with yourself as much as you share what's on social media, then you can move forward. And the good news is, you can move forward in healthy self-discovery. And the good news is you don't have to have the complete picture. I just told you that I'm a person with pieces like a puzzle, like fragments. Your journey is all about discovering what the full picture is. But the problem is we spend so much time sometimes focusing on other people and what we cannot do and the years that we've lost that we are not even trying to put the pieces together. So you don't have to have the big picture. But the more time you spend on other people's lives, the less time you're spending on self-discovery. It needs to be about you at some point. So you don't have to define yourself by other people. You don't have to be so involved with other people. I mean, think about it. Sometimes we allow people to define us, even when it comes to relationships. You have a baby and you're defined as mother and that's it. You let that baby define you as one thing. And so you never grow beyond being a mother. You have a child and you're a dad. And that relationship is what defines you. Look at that. So you start defining yourself by your relationships rather than who your ideal self was. Before you had that child, you were somebody. And, we even say, well, I'm defining myself based on the things that I've always done. That's when people, for example, in high school, they were the star quarterback, or in college, they were the star quarterback and they got like a ring. And now they're 65 years old. And every time you see them, all they can talk about is that ring. They don't even play football anymore. They didn't even make it to the pro, to the pro. Even people who did make it to pro football, they're not pro football players forever. And that is not the only thing they are. So what I'm saying is you have to ask yourself, if something happened to a particular relationship, I wouldn't have that anymore. So then who am I? For example, some of you, and I'm so sorry, you've lost your parents. So you're an orphan, a grown orphan. So now you're not a daughter and now you're not a son. So then who are you? Are you going to define yourself simply by your relationship? So ask yourself, what really matters to God and what really matters to me? That's it. What really matters to God and what really matters to me. You have to do this so that you won't be living your life for other people, and you won't be living your life just by certain relationships, because relationships end. Even death ends some relationships, okay? And so you have to ask yourself that. So the other tip, not only thinking about your ideal self and going back and apologizing to little baby you, little kid you, for not sticking to what you said you were going to be. Go back and apologize. But also, not just who you see yourself as, but explore your passions. And I put an S on that, passions. It may not just be one thing, because there's no better time than now for self-exploration. Free to explore in 2024. It's about self-discovery. So it can be hard to have purpose and meaning in life if you don't have passion. People are talking about purpose. You get the book Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren and all this stuff. And you go to all these seminars about, about purpose. But you don't even have passion. People can talk to you all day about purpose, but you first need to think about what your passion is. You can live out your passion once you discover it. So you have to ask yourself questions like, what excites me? Again, this is not about anybody else. What excites me? I'm talking to you. What excites you? I want you to think about that. What excites you? Talking about passion. What do you need, or what do you spend your free time doing on a day-to-day basis? Free time. Might be hard to think about that. Some of us don't have a lot of free time, but I'm just trying to help us work through thinking about what our passions are, because then that will connect to purpose and meaning in our lives. So we have to take some time to consider what you enjoy and look forward to the most, because this can help you in discovering who you are. And some people would say, well, by now I should know who I am because of my age. I'm trying to wipe that thing out, because our society focuses so much on age that we don't grow beyond where we are, because we put an age on a thing and that's what we're supposed to be, rather than thinking about where we really are. So it's okay, whatever your age is. Let's think about your passion, where you are right now. Ask yourself, how can I make a living, doing my passion? How can I make a living doing my passion? How does my passion contribute to society in a positive way? Yeah. Why am I saying this? Because I've learned that I have to think about, again, this self-discovery piece. What is it that I want? I've learned, even when I go to a restaurant, they give me this menu with all of these things on it, right? Because, they're telling me what they offer, and that's fine. But I get to choose what I want to eat. So a lot of times I'll put the menu down and I'll look within myself and say, what am I in the mood for? I'm not going to let them dictate what I eat. Now, to a degree, they're going to, because that's what the menu says. I mean, you're not going to go to Burger King and get fried flounder, and popcorn shrimp, right? You're not going to really do that. They sell burgers. But my point is, I put the menu idea away and I say, well, I know they sell burgers here, but what kind of burger do I want? And do I want a burger, or do I want their nuggets? Okay, all I'm saying is your passion starts within, and then from without, that's when you start looking for that job. Your passion is within, and then from without, that's when you start looking for that volunteer opportunity. Your passion starts within, and then from without, that's the ministry you join at your church. Stop letting people dictate what choice you make. They might have options, but you get to choose. Priority should be your passion, not what they say. When I was a little girl, I'll go back to this, and some of you read my books. I talk about this in my books. But when I was a little girl, I knew inside that I loved to teach. So I knew that at some point I would be a teacher. Now, I didn't know all the details. Don't ask me all that. I just knew from within that was what I did. And that's what I did well. I knew that as a child. My little brother, I have a younger brother. He's not so little now, but I would play school with him, and we would have old books, and I would be the teacher and he would be the student. That's what I'm talking about. Go back to that little boy. Go back to that little girl that you were when I do this. And for those on the conference call line, I'm holding my hand in front of my face as if I'm looking at a picture of my young self as a little girl. Go back to her. Go back to him and say, what was it that you said you wanted to be? Go back and do that, because when you do that, you can ask yourself, okay, if that's my passion, how can this go beyond a hobby and create something for my life? So then I go look for the job, because I know that that's what's inside of me. So if you hate your job, part of that is your fault. I told you this wasn't going to be easy. If you hate your job, part of that is your fault. I know you can complain about those people on your job, but you can't help who they hire. You can complain about the money on that job, but you can't help the rate of pay. You can complain about the distance, the location, but that's where they planted that job. What did you do? You applied for that job. You don't like it. That's because it doesn't connect to your passion. You have to ask yourself, again, tip number 2, explore your passion. Have I explored my passion? Because if I haven't explored my passion, that's why I have a bad attitude on this job. Now, sometimes you can be doing your passion and still have a day that you just really don't like. But you have to work on your passion. Ask yourself, how can my passion go, again, beyond a hobby, to create generational wealth? Maybe you don't like what you're doing because it is just about you. It's not really benefiting. It's not going to benefit your kids. Ever thought about that? Maybe you need to think about how your passion can attach even to legacy. And when I say legacy, I'm now not just talking about your kids. I'm talking about when you're gone. How does your passion attach to your legacy? When I was a teenager, I remember hearing adults say that the best thing they ever did was have a child. I remember hearing adults say that. The best thing I ever did was have my son. The best thing I ever did was have my daughter. So as a young person, I used to wonder, what about people who don't have kids? Do they not do anything? Like, oh my gosh, if the best thing you do is have a child, what about those who never have children? They just don't do anything. And then as I got older, I would read people saying, being a person who hadn't had kids, I would read people saying, I have to stay strong for my kids. I'm talking about legacy now. And I would think to myself, well, gosh, man, that must be pretty nice and convenient that you have children and you stay strong for your children. Because those of us who don't have children, we don't have the benefit of that. We stay strong because we must stay strong. But you stay strong for your kids. Okay, so then, again, I'm not talking about kids when I say legacy. Because the fact of the matter is, I've been a chaplain and I've watched where people lost their kids. Again, I said, don't let your relationships define who you are. And they were no longer a mother, no longer a father. They didn't know what they were going to do. I've seen kids go off to college. They don't know what they're going to do. So what I'm saying is, think about your legacy beyond procreation. I had to think, what can I do that's unique to who I am beyond procreation? So many of you have seen that I'm starting a scholarship. Because that's something that I noticed that sometimes it happens when people die, and I was like, well, I'm still alive. I'll save my little coins and try to do a little something, and so I say that to say, if I die before you all, whoever's listening to me now, please keep the Dr. Talika McCoy Scholarship going. Whatever you all can raise, do that, okay? Because I have discovered that that's part of my legacy. So I don't have it all together. But that's one little piece. You don't have to see the big picture, but you do have to get up, because the door of opportunity has a knock on it. And you have to get up out of your chair and go open the door. That's all life is a series of opening doors of opportunity. All right? So what's your passion? Okay, number 3, try something new. Why am I saying this? Because, hey, some people are saying, you know what, Dr. McCoy, I hear you, but I don't have any passion. I'm not good at anything. I don't. Sister Denise is saying experiences often lead to purpose. That's good information. She's saying speaking, writing, reading, talking with people about their stories, listening to learn, those things can help. Some people may be saying, well, that's great. Sister Denise and Dr. McCoy, we hear you, but I don't have any prayer. Okay, well, try something new. I'm still going to push you, okay? I told you this may not be comfortable, okay? It's like, well, who is she to tell me? Well, I'm a person who doesn't have it all together, who is figuring it out, and putting pieces together. And I want you to come on the journey with me because we're free to explore in 2024. So I'm that person. So I'm telling you that what you need to do is try something new. All right. Try something new. If you can't name your passions, that's fine. Don't give yourself a hard time. This just means that you can get excited about exploring something new. You can consider what your local community has to offer. You can consider the library. Do people still go to the library? It's still a wonderful place. Go to the library and see what's going on. You can go online. The internet is not all bad. There's a lot of groups on social media that can help you to try new things. Find out what's going on. There could be adult learning opportunities. You don't have to go get a master's degree or bachelor's degree or PhD if you don't want to. That's okay. You don't have to do that. But there are adult learning programs. You can learn how to sew. I'm saying that because I always liked to sew when I was in high school, and I have a Singer sewing machine over there. So when I say try something new, I need to go to an adult class or at least go on YouTube and refresh about how to use that sewing machine over there. Do you know how many Afrocentric clothing I can make myself if I just use that? So see, I'm talking to myself. As I'm talking to you, it's springing up things in my head. Try something new, McCoy. Classes or tutorials, exploring new hobbies, like I just mentioned with that sewing machine over there. Things you've never done before. And if you have no answers, then you can do like Sister Denise said. She said listening to learn. She said talking with people about their stories. If you have no answers, then find people who have some answers. Okay? Doesn't mean they have life all together, but they can tell you something. Start looking and seeing what people are doing. They may not be doing it directly or exactly what you want to do, but maybe they've been productive. You notice I didn't use the word successful. They've been productive. They've been productive in their lives. So if you see somebody who's being productive, then listen to them and maybe they can help you, like Sister Denise is saying. Talk to people about, listen to their stories. The problem with some adults is that we don't want to listen to anybody. We heard our parents say as kids, as long as you're in my house, you'll listen to me, you'll do what I say. And when you get out of here, you can do whatever you want. We took that thing, didn't we? We got out of our parents' house and we didn't listen to anything anybody had to say. And we do what we want. See that? And so, we just don't want to listen to anybody. But you need to listen to somebody. You got to listen to somebody, okay? You ain't got to. Maybe I'd say that bad grammar. You ain't got to listen to somebody. But when you look at the lives of people, no, let me not say people. Even if you've ever looked at my life, even from a social media standpoint, and some of you know me for real, if you looked at my life, you need to know that my life has been a series of choices, and I've listened to some people. Now, a lot of things I had to figure out along the way, okay? But I've listened to wise counsel because I realize that I don't know everything, and some people, there are people who really do know more than me. So learn how to listen to somebody, okay? Just learn how to, all right? And I see you, Sister Alma, saying, you've been teaching yourself to sew. Good for you. I need to learn from you. I'm going to do it. Okay? In 2024. Okay, so free to explore in 2024. What's on my list is sewing. I've got a nice sewing machine over there. I just bought it like last year, but that's a long time to let it sit, right? So I'm going to be like you, Sister Alma. And you said we will listen to somebody. There you go, Sister Alma. I've known people to be on their back sick. And after that sickness hit, they listened to somebody who had dealt with that before. But why does it take for you to get sick or to fall on hard times? Everything ought not be learned through trial and error, Sister Alma, right? Oh, and I see you, Mom, saying you always listen, Dr. McCoy. Well, you're a good mom. I figure you're mom, So I'm going to listen, no matter how old I get. Thank God for my mom. I see you, Sister Denise, saying no one knows everything. Yes, learn to listen to others, but make sure you listen to those who really know what they are talking about and have your best interest at heart. There you go. Because I can tell you that I had somebody when I was a young person tell me not to even go pursue my PhD. Wouldn't even write me a recommendation, Sister Denise. So I learned early in life that you're right. You know, make sure it's somebody talking that knows what they're talking about and have your best interest at heart, because some people don't want you to get what you're trying to get. I want you to get what you're trying to get. I want you to get what you're not even trying to get. Even you're not even trying. But after this, I hope that I make you so upset that you say, who does she think she is? Da, 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 da. But by mid-2024, you will have done more. All right? Yeah, somebody needs to say something. I see you, Sister Denise. I believe that some people don't. I see you still typing, and I know you have some computer issues, but keep on typing. So let me get to the last thing, okay? The last tip. So there's no better time for self-exploration than right now. So I'm discussing, how we can get started with this self-discovery, okay? If you're just joining. Number 4, and there's only 4. The last thing, consider your skills and what you value about yourself. I told you this is about you, not about what somebody else tells you to value. What are your skills and what do you value about yourself? Not what I tell you to value about yourself, okay? Because your unique abilities and how you use them is important. So you have to think about not what I'm telling you to think about yourself. I'm trying to, light a match under you, but you have to do the work, okay? When you think about your unique skills, like my dad, for example, is a carpenter. And his dad was not in his life, yet he knows how to do like all of these things with I'm not going to name all of it properly, but he can do everything. Like I'm saying everything, but I can't think of anything. But my dad does tile. He lays tile. I mean, he literally builds homes. He puts in windows. He can knock a wall down and build it up again. Nobody taught him how to do that. It was just his unique skill, all right? So ask yourself, what are you good at? What do you do well with your hands, with your mind? Just you, just your person, this wonderful person that God made. What does that person do? What does that person do well, right? What do people come to you with? What do people ask you to do? Because using your skills can increase your self-confidence. And when you increase your self-confidence, your greater self-confidence can encourage you to keep exploring your skills. Life is about exploration forever. When you stop exploring, that's when you start to get jealous. When you stop exploring, that's when you start to get upset and have a bad attitude. When you stop exploring, that's when you start looking at other people and have a pity party because you're not them. When you stop exploring, that's when you become decrepit and you just almost give up on life and you're just the walking dead and you don't even realize it. So you have to know that, other skills might present themselves when you start, honing in on the skills that you already have. And then you can ask yourself, what do I value? Back to that. What do I value about myself? I see you. Success, Sister Michelle, success, loving what you do and do what you love. There you go. There you go. But a lot of times in this world, they try to make you define it by dollar signs. Now, we all want to make money. We need to make money. But I don't know about you. I don't want just quantity in life, but I want good quality of life. So that's good, Sister Michelle. That's good. Brother Coleman, to be a good leader, you have to be a good listener. There you go. So if you want to be in leadership, and you want to be somebody that people actually like, have you ever had a supervisor or a leader that you didn't really like? Don't become that person. Don't just look at them. Look at who you're becoming. So like Brother Coleman is saying, be a good listener. Once you get to that point, I don't know, but I want people to like me. I mean, I don't live for people's like, and I don't have a desire or a need to be loved by strangers, but it's okay to be liked, and I'm going to talk about the Jesus part because Jesus said people are going to hate you, but you know where I am, right? Yes. So I see you, Sister Kilpatrick. Yes. Using your skills will present spin-off opportunities to grow. There you go. But if you do nothing, then you'll feel like your life is nothing. It's up to you. What are you doing? So ask yourself, what do you value about yourself? It could be thoughtfulness. Maybe you're a thoughtful person. I can't tell you that. I mean, other people might tell you, oh, you're so caring, and that's okay. That's fine. But even when they don't tell you, you have to know for yourself. So what are values what do you value about yourself? It may be that you're a thoughtful person. It may be your caring nature. It may be your intelligence, but I want you to think about that. I'm going to pause for just a moment, and you don't have to share. But I want you to think, I've been talking a lot like about you and maybe at you, and I don't mean to do that. But I don't mean to talk at you, but I want you to stop and think about what you value about yourself. What do you value about yourself? Okay, I know I didn't give you a lot of time, but just write that down. What do you value about yourself? Okay, and then after you consider what you value about yourself, like maybe is that you have like, I don't know, like you're loyal, you're a loyal person. So once you discover what you value about yourself, then ask yourself, how do I live out these values in my life? If I am a loyal person, how am I living that out? So Sister Denise says, I value every gift God gave to me. So see, that's great. So then what Sister Denise does then is write out all of those gifts that God gave her and then ask herself, how does she live out those values in her everyday life? And that will help to give you purpose, meaning. Sister Kilpatrick is saying, I'm an encourager. Okay, how do you live that out? That's good. Sister Michelle, the desire to make someone smile through my gifts. Great. So you can wake up in the morning, even if you hate your job, and don't live on the value of that job. Live on the value of who you are. And when you get to that job, you get to live out those qualities about yourself in that space. See that? That's how you work on becoming a better self. See that? Your job then doesn't dictate yourself, your day. So if you've had a hard time with thinking about your values or whatever and exploring, really principles that you find most valuable, then that's okay. That can be part of the self-discovery process, all right? And when thinking about exploring, Free to Explore in 2024, instead of grabbing at the first ideas, what you could do, if you are a Christian, you can open your Bible. We have the Holy Bible. And if you don't know who you are and all this stuff I'm talking about, you're like, I don't really want to do that. Okay, Christian, open the Bible. You should want to do that. So if you don't want to do this other stuff first, that's why I saved this until the end. So I hope you didn't turn me off, because I am going to direct you to the Bible, because maybe I can't talk to you about doing those tips and following those tips, but as God's spokesperson, which those Christians out there, that's who we are, I can say to you, you open that Bible and you become familiar with who God says you are. And you walk in that. And that will give you meaning, and that will give you purpose. And then you go find a job and a relationship and all that stuff. But define yourself then by who God says you are. I can tell you that with confidence. Ha! Get mad at me now. Yeah. Go to your Bible. And in 2024, you're free to explore what God says about you. So if you don't want to do self-discovery, you do saint discovery. Let me say that again. If you don't want to do self-discovery, you do saint discovery. Saint discovery will help you work on self-discovery. Because when you know who you are in Jesus Christ, then you can walk in a room and not wonder what they think about you. You wonder what you think about them. Because then you know who you are in Christ. So if you don't have self-confidence, then you need to get up on your Christ confidence. So open your Bible. Let me give you some scriptures. Let me do this. And then I'm going to let you go. But look. Let me tell you what you do. So I can't tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what to do. What you do is, forget everything I've said if that's what you want to do. Saint discovery is what you're going to do. Okay? 2024, Free to Explore. Saint discovery. So go to I got my phone in my hand and I'm typing in, what does God say about me? Okay. So you don't know? I'm going to tell you who you are. All right? You are, let's see, you've been accepted by Christ. Romans 15:7. Receive one another then, just as Christ also received you to God's glory. So you want to know who you are? You're a person who have been accepted by Christ when you have, done what Romans 10 and 9 says. You confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead and you shall be saved. If you've done that, then you've been accepted by Christ. That's who you are. You are an accepted person. So if you go into a space where they don't accept you, don't beg to be part of those people's thing because you've already been accepted by Christ. That gives you Christ confidence. All right, Saint Discovery. Oh, look here. I have been called to be a saint. You've been called to be a saint. 1 Corinthians 1 and 2. Also see Ephesians 1 and 1. Also see Philippians 1 and 1. And also see Colossians 1 and 2. So you've been called to be a saint. So you don't necessarily have to be called to do what I said when it comes to self-discovery, but you've been called to saint discovery. I need to really write this down. I need to preach this somewhere, don't I? But I'm already preaching it to you, I suppose. But you've been called to be a saint. To the church of God that is in Corinth, to those who are sanctified in Christ Jesus and called to be saints, with all those in every place who call on the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. See that? So that's it. Okay. What else are you? Let's see. Your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who dwells in you. You want to know who you are? 1 Corinthians 6:19. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit lives in you? Stop talking down to yourself about yourself and explore in 2024. So I'm going to stop right there. So just Google who you are if you don't know, because some of us we're not getting it and we need to get it. So know who you are in God's eyes. And the last thing I will say to us on today, because it needs to be said, because I keep seeing it everywhere. Stop trying to match people's energy. I see people with shirts on that say, I will match your energy. Stop doing that, because some people's energy is a bad vibe. Look at my shirt. If you're on conference line, I'm so glad you're still here. Please know that I have on a shirt that says bad vibes don't go with my outfit. So every time I see people talking about matching somebody's energy, I'm not going to match bad energy. So if you have bad vibes, that doesn't go with my outfit and it doesn't go with my life. So it's not up to you to dictate the temperature of my mood or my vibe. And so stop trying to match people's vibes and start figuring out what your vibe is and discover who you are so that you can have a victorious life. Be the best you and be free to explore in 2024. I'm going to stop right there. All right. All right, Saint Discoverers. Yeah, Saint Discoverers. That's what I might need to get me a shirt. Yeah. Moving from self-discovery to saint discovery, or I don't know. But my point is, my brothers and sisters, please be free in this year and explore in this year, because that little girl and that little boy that you used to be deserves everything that you said you would be. So God bless you. And if it be God's will, I will be right back here on next week. Have a great day, a great night. God bless you. And thank you on the conference call line. Have a great night.